Hey, Pretty Girl Club. In this episode, I want to expose some more internalized anti blackness. This is a hypocrisy that I have seen for decades now, but I've never really heard anyone talk about it on YouTube. And that is the people in the black community who make fun of black names, or they make fun of ghetto names, or they will call someone ghetto, and they're saying it as a derogatory term. They will say that a person sounds ghetto, or they sound black, or they're acting black, and then they'll say it in a negative way. But one thing I've noticed with the divestment movement actually is they will say things like Glocktavius, or they'll try to make these names, and they're trying to make it like an African American style name, but they're adding a negative connotation to it. I've also noticed that if a person is mixed race, let's say you have some sort of ethnic name, let's say you're mixed with Latin American and your name is like Maria or something like that, then people will try to make fun of that as well. And it's like, well, why are you trying to make fun of it and make it like it's low class? You do realize that that is upholding internalized white supremacy, right? Because you're literally saying that because someone does not have a quote unquote white sounding name, that somehow they're lower class, or they won't have access to having a certain lifestyle. Because I've also heard people say that if you have like a quote unquote black name, that it holds you back from getting jobs. And it's like, oh my God, literally everything about blackness, damn near everything about blackness, I've heard somebody in the black community online say that that thing holds them back. So first it's the skin color, then it's your hair texture, then it's your facial features, then it's your name. But the way that I think about ethnic names, and African American names in particular, is I actually do believe that that is a reflection of African American culture. You know how people try to say African Americans have no culture at all, and we're just, if you have an African American background, you've lost your culture. I actually disagree. I do believe that there are some unique things that come from the African American culture, and yes, some of the names are a part of that. But I've noticed that when it comes to mixed race people, let's say you have a quote unquote black name, whether it's your first name or your last name, a middle name, I don't know, or maybe your child's name. Let's say you have kids and your children have these names. I've noticed that people will try to use your name against you, or use it like, or they'll try to make this talking point that your name is going to hold you back in your career. And these people expose themselves every single time, because the people that I hear talk the worst about blackness and all aspects of black culture are actual unambiguous monoracial black people. And have you ever noticed that if you ask that black person, like, hey, explain to me how this name is ghetto. Like, what makes it ghetto? Is it the fact that it reminds you of black people? Well, why is it that being reminded of black people makes something ghetto or makes something low class? So if you want to shut somebody up on this particular topic, all you have to do is just ask them, what makes a name ghetto? What makes a name sound ratchet? Is it because that person was named by their black parent? Because, I mean, let's be honest, especially if you're mixed race, most of the people who are mixed race, let's say you have a quote unquote black name or a black adjacent name, a name that's associated with blackness, most of the time you've probably been named by your black parent. And I'm trying to think of some examples. These are just random examples, kind of like Latavia, or like, I don't know why Beyonce kind of rings me as that sort of name. I know that you guys are going to say that's like a French name. I don't want to say Sharkeisha because I think that, I don't know if that's a real name, but you guys know exactly what I mean. And notice how the black community, they will actually use these names to make fun of maybe black men or like ghetto black women. So for example, let's say your name is Shaniqua. That's just an example I can think of. Okay, let's say that's your name and you're like very classy and stuff. And then somebody wants to try to either humble you, or they want to try to remind you like, hey, get down here at the bottom with me. You belong down here in the abyss of the social hierarchy with the black community, Shaniqua. And so they'll try to use your name as a humbling tactic, or maybe they'll make fun of your name. And obviously we've seen this in a lot of racist communities. Like, they might call your name ghetto if your name is like black, or they'll call an Asian person Ling Ling or Ching Chong. That's another reason that I kind of give smoke to some of the divestment channels on here. Obviously, I know that not all of them are like that, but for the ones who are calling people Ling Ling and Maria and Ching Chong and all of these crazy ass names, yeah, you're definitely being racist. And that's another thing. The whole black people can't be racist. You can absolutely be racist. Calling somebody Ching Chong is definitely racist. And I've noticed that usually the people who make fun of African American names on mixed race people, usually those people just they don't like African American culture. So I noticed with Chili from TLC, her name is Razonda or something along those lines. And on Lipstick Alley, they were like, shut up, Razonda. Like they were trying to make it like, shut up with your black ass name. I mean, that's basically what I got from that. So they were attempting to use her African American name or her quote unquote black name. They were trying to use that to disqualify her from being mixed race, as if everybody mixed has to have the name Sarah or Bethany or something like that. And these people keep themselves at the bottom every single time because anything that's associated with blackness, I've noticed that people in the black community will literally make fun of it and then later on complain and say, oh, I feel like I'm at the bottom. And I've noticed that another thing that people will do is maybe they'll make fun of the spelling of your name, or they will be like, you're not really mixed because your name is Imani. That's a common name I can think of. That was a very common name at the HBCU I went to, like Imani or Jahara, Zahara, Sahara, all of those types of names. Those are just names I'm thinking of off the top of my head. Even the nicknames that have 2 syllables, like Kiki, Nini, Riri, Nisi, Laquisha, Laquita, Lakeitha. But it's like, have you ever thought about that? What makes those names bad? What makes those names ghetto? What makes those names trashy? What makes those names dumb? Is it because they're associated with your own community, the black community? And notice how in the black community, they can say pretty much anything they want. They can use as much anti-blackness as they want. But imagine if a white person ever said, oh, your name is ghetto. You have a ghetto black name. Then you would call that person racist, right? So racism is only okay if it's internalized within your own community. I've noticed that that is pretty much a running theme with the online black community, especially when it comes to people who try to come for this type of channel. Usually they will try to come for mixed race people or people they perceive as benefiting from isms. The way that they'll try to come for those people is by using their blackness against them, or using their black features, their black names, their black children. I've noticed that some people will say that it's karma if you have a dark-skinned child, and so they'll literally use your dark-skinned child against you. Yet we're the colorists? And we're the futurists and the racists? What do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.